Hello everyone. We are going to start with the second week lectures. Recall that in the first week we had a brief introduction to optimization. We introduced the basics of constrained optimization and unconstrained optimization, the existence and uniqueness of solutions, convex sets, convex functions, and the analytical method of computing the critical points, and how do you analyze whether the critical points are a local minimum, local maximum, or a saddle point, right. So, that is what we did in first week. So, in the second week we will start with an introduction to Python coding. So, this is meant basically for students who are not well versed with Python. So, I am going to start from scratch, okay, but we will go will rapidly cover introduction to Python coding, and I would also like to mention that I am not going to cover Python completely, but I mean we will learn whatever is required for coding optimization algorithm. So, the basics of Python required for the course. So, keep that in mind. So, all right, let us get started. So, we start with the print statements. Okay. So, I am going to show you the code in Google Colab. Okay. So, anybody who has a Gmail account can use Google Colab. So, I would encourage you to use Google Colab, or I mean in case you are fine with the other softwares like either Anaconda or PyCharm, any Python editor you can use. But in this course we will use Google Colab. Okay. So, let us I will start with print statements. As any coding class would start, suppose I want to print some string, say hello world. Okay. How do I do it? So, I just type print hello world. So, note that we write the statement print open braces and close braces, and whatever you write within the quotation marks. Okay. So, that gets printed. Okay. It is as simple as that. So, whatever string you want to print. Okay. So, you can write, for example, suppose you want to print I am in optimization class. Okay. So, you can see that there is so the first statement prints hello world, and the second statement prints I am in optimization class. Okay. So, it is as simple as this, but suppose you want to write this in the same line. Okay. That is, I mean, so you want to print as what is given here, that is hello world in the first line, but I am in optimization class in the second line. Okay. But you want to write the code in one line, you can do it very easily. So, note that for printing strings in two lines, I have written two commands, that is two print commands in separate lines, right. So, you might ask if that is required, right. So, in other words, you might ask if printing two lines require two print statements in two different lines. So, that is not correct, because we can do this in using a single print command. Okay. So, for example, so I will now write the following statement. and so you can see that I have written only one print command, but the I mean I have 2 lines of prints, right. So, how did I achieve this? I achieved this using an escape sequence called \n. Okay. So, this is called as an escape sequence, and what this does is it puts whatever you write here in the next line. Okay. So, you can continue writing, suppose you want to write them in successive lines. Okay. You can continue writing thus. So, you can see that you have a hello world in the first line, then by a \n you say go to the next line, and then you write the sentence that is going to come in the second line, then by a \n you say go to the third line, and then you print, I mean you write what you want to be printed in the third line. Okay. So, the escape sequence here is very useful to do this. Okay. So, there is another escape sequence which is important, and that is actually \t. Okay. So, suppose you want to write a few words with tab. So, \t means tab, okay. \n is new line and \t is tab. Okay. So, suppose you want to write hello world. Okay. So, you can see that it is printed with a tab in between. Okay. So, for that you can use \t. Okay. So, there are a few other escape sequences as well, but I mean that is not required for our course anymore. Okay. So, we will stop with this at this moment. Okay. And fine, so I said that I will start with print statements. We will come back to this in some time. We will now move ahead to actual mathematics. Okay. So, the first thing that you want to do is assignment. Okay. That is, you assign a number to a particular variable. Okay. So, that is called an assignment operation. Okay. So, suppose you want to assign 5, the number 5 to a variable. Okay. So, how do you do that in Python? So, you do the following. So, you just write a equal to 5. Okay. So, if you do this, that means the number 5 gets allocated to the variable a. Okay. So, you can check if what you have done is correct. So, you can just print the value of a, and you can see that the value of a is printed as 5. You could have already noticed the difference between the earlier prints and this particular print. So, the difference is that, so here you are actually printing a string. Okay. So, if you write it within quotes, then it prints whatever is there within the quotes. If you write it without quotes, it means that it prints the value assigned to the particular variable. Okay. Okay. So, this is how you assign a number to a particular variable. Okay. You can assign multiple numbers to multiple variables. So, for example, you can write a equal to 5, b equal to 6, c equal to 7.2, okay, and you can print all of them. So, you can see that, so when you say print a, b, c, since all of these are variables, so it just prints 5, 6 and 7.2. Okay. So, when you want to assign multiple numbers to multiple variables, you do not have to write them one by one like what I have written here. There is a shortcut. You can write it this way. Okay. So, you say a comma b comma c is 5 comma 6 comma 7.2, that means a is assigned 5 is assigned to a, 6 is assigned to b, and 7.2 is assigned to c. Here again you can print a b c, and you see that you get the same value 5, 6 and 7.2. Okay. So, you can have one assignment in one line or multiple assignments in the same line, both of them work. Okay. So, now you might have a question that, so here we have printed only strings, right, and here we have printed only variables. What if we want to print a combination of them? Suppose you want to say that the value of a is equal to 5, okay, or whatever the value is assigned to a. How would you print such a thing? You do the following: you say print the value of a equals a. Okay. So, yeah, whatever value is assigned to a, this will get printed. So, you can see that, yeah, this says value of a equals 5. Okay. So, this is how you combine string as well as the variable together. Note that in between you have to write a comma. Okay. So, if you do not write that, the Python will actually give an error. So, I mean it separates saying that, yeah, so my string is complete and now I am going to give something else. Okay. So, that is the reason there needs to be a comma in between these two. Okay. You can also write it further. Okay. So, let me actually print the values of all the 3 variables that I have assigned, okay, by using a single command line rather. The value of a is a, the value of b is b, and the value of c is c. Okay. Yeah, I have forgotten a comma here. So, you can see that it says invalid syntax here. So, that is what you get if you forgot a comma. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, that is what you wanted, and you can see that, yeah, instead of, so I have 3 lines of statements here, and I have used only one line of print command. I have used the escape sequence \n. Okay. Now, just from the examples that I have given, you can see that there are certain variables where I mean which are integers, and certain variables which are not integers, real numbers, right. So, these are actually stored as different data types in Python. Okay. So, yeah, there are many different data types, like yeah, so integer is one of them. So, integer is one of them, and floating point is another. So, floating point is yeah, what we call as, I mean, so yeah, mathematically we can say that they are real numbers. Okay. And yeah, there are many others, say there are strings, there are hexadecimal, there is unsigned integer, there is long integer, and so on. So, but yeah, for our course we do not require any such, I mean you do not need to learn about those data types. So, we will stop with integer and floating point alone. Okay. So, you can ask, yeah, what is the difference, I mean why should you even learn this, right. So, the reason is, so you actually have formatting, you could have formatting issues when you print integers and floating points. Okay. So, I will indicate what I mean what could possibly happen. Okay. So, suppose I want to print a floating point. Okay. So, let us say I want to print so let us say x is equal to 1 by 19. Okay. So I basically want to know what is the decimal value of x. Okay. So you can just say print x, right. Let us see what it prints. Okay. So it prints the decimal value, it is 0.0526 yeah, it is 0.05263157894736836842. Okay, fine. Yeah, quite long. Yeah, but this is recurring decimal, so it keeps going for long. Okay, but in practice you do not want such big numbers, right. I mean, when you have 25 digits after the decimal point, I mean, we more so get irritated rather than I mean read that beautiful decimal point, I mean decimal number, right. So we want to restrict it to say maybe 3 decimal points or 4 decimal points. So how do we do that? So let me put it in the same tab so that you are able to see the difference. You can see that the number has been rounded off to 3 decimal points in the print statement. Okay. And what did I do? I have written something called as percentage 0.3f. What does that mean? It means that f is for floating point, okay, and 0.3 is to say that stop with 3 digits after the floating point. Okay. So I can ask you to guess what will happen if I write print percentage 0.5f, right, and the answer is, as you all can see, it is 5 digits after the decimal point. Okay. So yeah, and you can see that it is rounded off, it is not cut off, but it is rounded off. So since you have 2 6 here, it is rounded off to 3. Okay. So yeah, that is the best case you can get, right. So that is done using what you call as the format specification. Okay. So percentage f is for printing a real number, rather a floating point number. Okay. And if you also mention how many digits you want after the decimal point, it gets printed in the same manner. One more thing that you should notice very carefully is that whenever you use this format specifier, you cannot use a comma after the quotation mark. Okay. So here you have to use a comma after the quotations is over, okay, but here you should not be using a comma, you have to write it as percentage and within brackets whatever corresponds to the percentage f that you have here. Okay. So yeah, I will give you more examples. So for example, let us say I have y equal to 2, sorry, x is 1 by 19 and y is equal to 2, and suppose I want to print both, okay, using the specifiers. Note that y is actually an integer, so I want to print it as an integer. So I am going to write it as follows. I am going to write it as the values of, or the value of x comma y equals percentage d comma, let us say percentage 0.4f, and so you have to write this as percentage x comma y. Okay. So no comma, as I just mentioned now. Okay. So after the quotation you are writing percentage with a bracket, a parenthesis x comma y. Okay. So you can see what happens for this. Yeah. So oh, I am sorry, I should have done the reverse. I should have done percentage 0.4f for x and percentage d for. So, percentage d is used for integers and percentage f for floating point. So, yeah, percentage f you can use with the number of decimal points if you wish to. Okay. So, yeah, you get the value of x comma y equals 0.4 f, which is restricted to just 4 digits. Okay. It is rounded off. So, you can see that the fifth digit is 3. Okay. So, you get 0.0526 and y is percentage d, that is just an integer. So, it is printed as 2. Okay. So, yeah, this I wanted to indicate for introducing the format specifications, that is percentage d and percentage f. I would also like to introduce one other format specifier. Okay. So, the specifier percentage f is really good because it restricts the number of digits that you can have after the decimal point, right. But that I mean we might need more than this in certain cases. Okay. I will give you an example. So, let us say x is actually equal to some long number. Okay. And of course, as I would want in general, I would like to restrict it to say 5 decimal places after the decimal point. Okay. And let us see what I get. So, you can see that I get 0.00000, which is, as you can see, completely useless, is not it, because the answer actually is 9 into 10 power minus 9. Okay. So, the percentage 0.5 f that I have here is not useful because it is not 5 digits after the significant digit, please understand. Okay. It is 5 digits, simply 5 digits after the decimal point. Okay. So, how do I correct this? There is a simple way. You have to use a slightly different specifier. It is called percentage 1.5e for example. Okay. Yeah. So, here you get what you would have wanted. Okay. So, yeah, what does this actually mean? So, what it says is write the real number in the exponential form. Okay. So, the exponential form is something that we are well aware of, right. So, we always see these numbers 3.434 into 10 power minus 2, 3.189 into 10 power minus 7, right. So, it writes in the exponential form, whatever you give it writes in the exponential form. And what is this 1.5? It means that 1 digit before the decimal point and 5 digits after the decimal point. Okay. So, yeah, 1 is something very standard, I do not think you would like to change it, and 5 is something you, I mean, yeah, we change it based on the application, or yeah, based on how we want it to be printed. Okay. So, yeah, so we have learnt 3 kind of format specifications. One is percentage d, which is for for integers, percentage f with either 0.3, 0.4, whatever, which specifies the number of decimal points after number of digits after the decimal point. Okay. And the other format specifier that we have learnt is percentage e, where if you write percentage 1.3 e, it means yeah, it is in the exponential form or in the standard scientific form, where you have 1 digit prior to the decimal point and 5 digits after the decimal point. So, please understand that yeah, so when you write percentage 0.5f, so we do not mention the number of digits before the decimal point, right, but that does not matter because whatever the number comes it prints, I mean there is no restriction. So, yeah, in general we would not want to restrict to whatever is there in front, right. So, I mean that is why the number is left out freely. Okay. What we are saying is yeah, do curtail after 5 digits after the decimal point. Okay. So, yeah, these 3 would be useful. So, yeah, we will see about arithmetic operations in the next lecture. Thank you.